So we are now calling the meeting of the directors of Whiting Library to order at 6:30-ish on the 18th day of March. President Jesse, Marilyn, Matt, and Bill in person, and on Zoom are nobody. Okay, so we have 7, we have a quorum.
Okay.
So we will continue. We will, first of all, hold an election of new officers as the town meeting vote was taken a week ago or so. We have elected 3 new directors, or re-elected directors, including Dakin, McNeil, Hudkins, and Laura. And so now we're going to elect the officers of the board, including the chair, vice chair, treasurer, and secretary. Is there a nomination for chair?
Well, I nominate Mr. Dakin if he's still interested.
Is there a second?
I'll second.
Is there another nomination for chair?
Unless, and I don't mean to exclude anybody else who might be interested. Okay.
In your approach to the downstairs, we were chatting, and the office was offered and no one was
Okay.
interested.
Okay,
So,
good.
so we have Dakin nominated.
Okay.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Dakin is chair. Vice chair. We have a nomination for vice chair.
I nominate Jesse.
Second.
Other nominations?
You're willing?
Yeah, that's
Okay.
fine.
There being no further nomination, we'll vote. All in favor of Jesse, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Jesse, you're vice chair. Congratulations. Secretary. We have a nomination for secretary.
Nominate Donna.
Perfect.
Second.
Second.
Moved
Second.
and seconded. Any further nominations? There being none, all in favor of Donna as secretary, say aye.
Aye.
Donna is secretary. Treasurer. We have a nomination for treasurer.
And I will nominate Laura.
Second.
Moved and seconded Laura as treasurer. Any other nominations? There being none, all in favor of Laura, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Laura is the new treasurer.
Okay.
Oh, and here's Lynn.
Hello, Lynn.
She may be in the
Process is.
process of still connecting.
Do we have a,
Hi.
hi,
Hello, Lynn.
Hi,
Welcome.
thank you.
So we held officer vote, Lynn.
We
And
have a what?
We have officers, new officers for the coming year.
Oh, okay.
Happy to announce, Lynn, that you missed that election and
Are now the new chair.
no.
No, kidding, kidding.
Dakin is chair, Jesse is vice chair, Donna is secretary, and Laura is treasurer. Donna and Laura are absent, and both have agreed that if nominated and elected, they'd be willing to serve in their respective positions.
Good.
As they were. So that's where we are, and welcome, Lynn.
Okay,
So now, the agenda having been called to order and elections being held, are there any additions to the agenda? There being none, we will proceed with item 4, approval of minutes from the February 11, 2025 meeting. Donna has shared those minutes with us. Is there a motion to accept the minutes?
So moved.
Seconded by,
second.
moved and seconded. Any discussion on the minutes?
I didn't see any.
There being no further discussion, we'll vote to approve the minutes of the February 11, 2025 board meeting. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We have approved the minutes. Treasurer's report. As we mentioned, our treasurer is absent, as is our secretary. She has sent to us report, that is in numerous sections as normal. And I think what I would do is, turn to the last of her attachments, which was a statement of, actually, it was her report.
A more written.
In a written version, yes. And is there a motion to approve the report of the treasurer?
So moved.
Seconded by,
Seconded.
moved and seconded on the floor, the discussion. Gail, would you outline the basics of her report? I think you have.
Okay, when she writes, she has all the assets on there and the revenues, the highlights of the revenues, book sales we've done so far, about $500. We have,
From the start of the calendar year?
yeah,
Wow.
we do about $70 a week at least.
So this report of hers is from 1/1 to 2/28.
Well, you have to.
Year to date should be.
Well, not exactly, but close. It would be to probably February 2nd, I'm guessing. That's the date on the, it might be to date.
Oh,
What's
this
this?
is through February
It
28th.
does
Yeah.
take,
Okay,
right,
okay, all
So
right.
for 2 months, that's
But
great.
yeah, it is, but, yeah, great.
so when you say the book sale was for the
The
2
books
months,
is here, yeah. Mhm.
all right, so that, okay,
Uh-huh. Mhm. And, the $175 non-resident fee, remember, we raised that to $25. And we got $3,990 in fundraising, $116 in donations. And on expenses, the things like the books and materials, that's $2,200. Programs, but why that is so high is primarily from the $1,000. The $20,000 grant that we got last year, that's paying for the yoga and the creative, and then we'll get, some of this hasn't even been charged yet, creative aging program. So that's why it's higher, and they have $750 for cleaning charges. That's what she had so far. And
But I'm sorry, just clarification. I'm not certain, understood what you said about the programming. So we got a grant and this is what's been charged against the grant, an
Yeah.
expense against that
Yeah.
grant.
Well, yeah,
Okay.
so we have additional income that we could spend, and this actually is the money that was given to it last year. It was like a 18-month grant, so it's going, we have just 6 weeks left in it. So we're not spending, actually, get it all done. Yeah.
on the cleaning charges,
Mhm.
are we current with the cleaning company?
We were, I mean, the cleaning company billing, who knows? You gotta watch them carefully. I'm not saying that they're for a while, they must not have billed us for some things. At one point last year, I called them and said, you haven't gotten a bill for a while. She said, don't worry. We have new book you. This year, I do know, once we got charged for a time they did not come. And I called them for that and they deleted that invoice. So I'm watching it carefully, so I mean, I think last year, we don't owe them any money. I just think that they didn't charge us or they didn't even come sometimes when they had intended to.
Can you refresh our memory in terms of how much is the cleaning per visit?
$150.
150, okay. And they come every week? Once a week?
Once a week.
Once a week.
They come sometime between the time we leave on Saturday and the time we get in on Tuesday. And anytime in that time.
Okay, so that's 5 weeks worth on there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I think they come Monday nights based on the call I got that one time from them.
Yeah, but it's not always the same.
Oh,
I
okay.
left here on Saturday, when I'm going out the door, they're coming in the door. And so,
Gotcha.
they do oftentimes, I've been here on Mondays and I do see them a lot on Mondays. Yeah, so.
Okay.
Any questions, any further discussion about the report? I'll say that the M&T Wealth Management account is one that we will watch on a
Mhm.
monthly basis, if not more frequently,
Yes, she did she did get, first,
an update.
she got money from that fund.
Our quarterly payment was paid in February,
It took a while
yes.
for us to understand, the town and us to understand how to handle that.
In light of the status of the market, we would just pay attention to what's going on, because
Mhm.
Right,
the market is changing.
Yep.
Any further questions or comments on the treasurer's
Was
report?
anything ever done about the CD that we wanted to do?
Yes, there's an M&T CD that's listed as an asset on the treasurer's report. And I'm gonna say this, yes, because I think the answer is
Mhm.
it was set up as a CD. And I think the last meeting, didn't we have a report that the interest was going to be a certain amount? And even though it wasn't absolutely finalized, they were gonna hold that interest rate, which is 3.47 or something.
Mhm.
I don't recall the number.
Yeah,
But it was
3.43 according to her last report.
Yeah, okay, thank you. So that's the answer, Lynn.
Okay,
It is set up. Any other questions? All in favor of the report, indicate saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. We are going to accept her report. Next item is the youth services report. I'll let you, if you will. Why don't you just cover them all, the youth services and
it will start use services though. I mean, I think that, her, change with the, after school programming, the way she's doing it. It fluctuates, the fact she does usually a monthly Lego program was very popular, and also she did a new thing, international tape session event. And this month we get that in Newport. I know there was slum making, so all those have been really popular, and what's nice about it is they're bringing in different kids each time, so. We're giving out a lot of new cards, seeing new people, and it's really very nice. So anybody have any questions about her report?
I went to story time last week, and that was a lot of fun to watch.
Great.
She really
Yeah.
runs that well.
Great.
That's positive, that's good.
Mhm.
Of the slime making party.
It's great. I mean, there were a lot of people. And like I said, there were new people, new families getting library cards, never been here before.
Awesome.
It's really great. That's really great.
Mhm. Yeah, and so like my report, first off, I'll talk about just for a second, because after I mailed you this statistical report, it made change. I remembered that one of the programming expenses we have is for this news program that we have 3 virtual live streaming author talks a month. That it costs us about $225 to get all this. And in February, we had 3 of them and 91 people attended. And the way that we had to report, libraries across the country report statistics to IMLS once a year, right to the state library and then to IMLS. And see, something like this, a virtual, people could, now that we have this resource, people have started watching all the old ones. We can't count those as programs. The way statistics so that all the libraries in the country are doing the same thing, we can count them within a month. So anybody who watched it when it happened or within that month, you count it. But you can't count the. So no, actually it's been more successful. It's been very successful. I mean, I definitely think we've already made our $225 worth with that many people. So there's.
So point that out again on this piece of paper.
It's right here, where I have to like on the column over there, far right upper corner.
Yeah,
Those are all programs. And I kind of try to make this useful to me when I do that report for IMLS using their definitions. So I have to, say how many adult programs you had and participants, teen, preschool, school age, outreach. And there's another category that they have called virtual. So that's the top one, and that's new, a new.
So the one we have has adult, teen, preschool, school age outreach.
Yes. the
It
one
does
that-
not have the
this one-
virtual.
This has, my new one that has three,
There's a little bigger bill.
programs.
So
You want
you
to
don't have to strain your eyes.
see, you can pass this around.
oh,
And I have circled the new part. So you can see.
yes. Huh. Okay. Now, how do we benefit from the numbers on this section, the top left, right corner? Do we benefit only because we see how there is growth in the use of these different?
That's one way. I mean, I think benefit because you're providing a service to people. You're providing a program that's showing how many people took advantage of the programs that we offered. And how many people came to story time? How many people came to the lab set?
Showing community participation.
Yeah, and when we calculate things, like when I would, you would give like a dollar value. Like when I go to the select boards, I would say, the library, you paid this amount for the library. We gave you this amount, and it's gonna be based on all those things with a dollar value that really, I don't make up. It comes from, American Library Association, so they have all libraries are using the same dollar value. Yeah. I mean, it's the same thing as circulation. In a way, I mean, like. So. I have my report. I'm gonna talk about in another place, the meeting Carrie and I went to in New York. I hope you all know the display at the voting for in Chester with the Gather book. We got more, so if anybody wants more, we can have them coming in April and May. There are a lot of programs that we're offering in relation to that book that's being read all over Vermont.
Now, going back to that Vermont Reads, which is Gather, Cadeau lives in Norwich.
Yeah,
Does that, other than wishful thinking, give us any opportunity to think about bringing him down here?
probably not, because.
He's too big.
No, it's big. It's that,
We're not too big.
no, it's that there are like 300 libraries in Vermont, and he's already kind of committed himself all he can.
Yes.
Because it's being read all over Vermont. But we have another really good author coming that lives someplace up by Montpelier, M.T. Anderson, who is a young adult author. He wrote, I don't know, my favorite one is Feed, but he wrote Octavia, Nothing, a lot of other books and some kids' children's books, but he is going to talk about the landscape of Vermont and sort of like how the landscape and economics and changes, and so he'll be here. He's an author.
Okay.
He is coming to this library, wedding library. Okay.
But the Gather, you had to submit, which I did through the Humanities Council. I did say that we wanted him. They didn't. So it's all over. Another really good program we're going to have that it's a Humanities Council special grant is there right now. It's slipping my mind the name of the movie, but it's one of the Jay Craven who likes movies, and it's about people in Vermont that are housing and food insecure, and about
Is that coming up? When is that? Because I thought it
that's
happened.
May 10th.
May
But
10th.
May 11th, or May
Names
11th.
listed.
Yeah.
I have it right now for May 10th. But I got.
Just getting by.
Yeah, just getting back. I
Yeah.
got an email from the director, Jake Griffin's wife, that she would like us to move it to May 11th, so I haven't answered.
So will that be at the town hall?
Yes.
Yes, I saw that. That's good. That's,
Yeah, and I was gonna have dinner first, like a potluck dinner. I think that's.
oh, yeah, I think I saw that, man.
Yeah, I mean, in the book, I think they have something like that in the book.
Okay.
Who's read the book? Anybody? No, you should read it. There's lots of copies upstairs. It's very good. Very good.
Is the book the same title as the movie?
Yeah, well, no, it's different.
Oh, the book
The
is
book
Gather.
Gather.
Gather
Which
is-
it's a kid's book. You, no, it's a young adult book about a boy in Vermont who parents had one mother had drug addiction problems and actually died, and he's alone. And he's trying to live by himself without anybody knowing. They find out, so he takes off and he goes and lives by himself.
And he has a dog
Yeah.
and Gather. It actually is. I was delighted to read it.
Mhm.
The picture of the dog on the cover led to all 4 copies I saw go away.
So if you have an
Good.
opportunity, it's
Yeah, I
a
will.
good, it's a good book.
It's a good book.
Now, the Vermont Humanities just came out or is in the process of announcing its new,
Oh, yeah, I haven't
Vermont
seen
read.
it yet.
I don't, hasn't come out yet.
No, I haven't seen
I-
it. Yeah, I haven't seen that. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, then I talked about where we are in spending with grants. One thing, starting in April, we have a grant from the Public Library Association for workshops for adults on digital literacy. And it was a $5,000 grant, and we got some things that kind of made it easier for us to teach things. Like we got put into date lines for the Vermont room and the room upstairs with the computer, so that glare and people died. And we got, the one thing I'm most happy with, is we got this new projector that works well in higher light, because the one we had before, you had to turn the lights off to see anything. So that's really great. I did apply for a grant 2 weeks ago or something through the Association of Small and Rural Libraries for an LED project, because remember last month we talked about, I think, or maybe it wasn't at the board, it was a little bit at the board meeting, but it was a meeting that you and I had with Steve and Julie, which he talked about a grant that they were getting to do energy, make efficiency. But at the same time, we thought we really want to do LEDs, so we're doing something down here so that there's better lighting. And so they have been not doing anything down here because I knew this was coming, and they don't have the money for it. Project, which comes up to, they have a quote for $16,875.
Who's they, the town?
The town. The grant that I wrote, I applied for the maximum, which was 15,000, so we'd be a little short if we got that grant, but maybe it'd be come in less than that, maybe. So other things that I think you need to think about is like the wheelchair ramp. I know that I know the town is aware how difficult it is to keep the snow off of it because it falls onto it. But I think, with changing climate and weather patterns, this year was especially hard. They try to keep it up, but there have been times I come to work and it's not it's not snow on the ground. It's a pile of frozen snow. And you can't do anything. And that also means no one can use wheelchair ramp. And then the next day when I go out to try to move snow that I can, then more snow happens to fall on me, and if somebody using that ramp was walking then, they would have been hurt. So I think that is something we should try to do. I know the town plan before was for a big project with a big grant to make a new entrance in the back. Possible we could do something that's not as big as that for a cheaper amount that keeps, I don't know.
Well, it's something that's gonna have to be
Some-
discussed and.
Something that we should,
Evaluated, we're gonna figure out the best way to do it from an ADA compliance standpoint.
But I think the big deal is getting the town to.
I
Yeah,
mean, I already know what, I mean, I'm sorry. you
would we,
said-
don't we have, we'd have to do some sort of study, wouldn't we, or
Well, but I mean,
evaluation?
That's been done here twice in the last year.
I'm
That this is a town project that
Yes.
we can weigh in on.
Oh, but it's not a town project.
It's on, but it's in the town's property.
But right, it is the town's property. They have no project. I think we need to, they have no project in mind. This is not something that they had a project in mind. They had a project in mind last year. They applied for a grant. They didn't get that grant. They have no project in mind now.
Right.
I think we need to pursue grants or
If we do that,
Well, let her finish.
okay,
do that. They need to be aware of it.
Yeah.
I mean, they need to sign off on the project. We could pursue grants for them. They have no grants in mind. And I've written an email to Julie, but I haven't heard back from her about this, but I mean, it is a town project, but it's also a library.
So,
So they
Well,
always
it's an
think
access
that
issue.
We're responsible for access to the library, so it is, we are also responsible, but they own the building.
so Matt, you had a comment.
yeah, all I was gonna say is, if we do apply for stuff, it's gotta be in conjunction with the town. Because although we're a stakeholder in the building, we're not the owners of the building.
Yeah, but, just so you know, the big project the big grant that,
Yes, we did not get it.
no, not that one, the big grant that the library did get, 20 years ago or something, that the library applied for that. The town did not apply for that.
That's-
So I'm just saying, they don't have to be the ones applying. Well, yeah, you have to work together and can't.
Yeah, no, that's all I was saying. Not that we can't apply for the money.
right, I guess I was really more focused on, you said that they had a plan and they
Mhm.
filed for funding and they didn't get it. I mean, is that the plan that we want, or was that plan too big, or, so really my question focused more on what was the plan for accessibility, and is the plan that was
Mhm.
previously considered the plan that we want to pursue? If it is, then we're just looking at funding, right?
$300,000 instead of, probably I don't know. It's not, it would never be, it's not my plan. I mean,
I don't care whose plan it is.
Yeah,
I'm just asking the question, is it an
I
adequate
don't think
plan?
it's a good plan.
You
I
don't
do
think,
not it's a
okay,
good plan.
who devised the plan?
Who
Who made,
decided?
who made the plan?
I think it kind of came from previous directors and Julie. Um,
But as the architect, with
Right.
direction from the
Yeah.
town, it created. the-
it was, architects work first from direction from the client. I think they told them, we would like to have.
Yeah.
From based on things I've read, from, before they even involved the architect, they had this idea to make, I just feel like we don't really need a third entrance to the library.
Maybe we ought to have a meeting with the town, talk about this kind of planning.
I tried to, but you guys could also bring this up. I
So-
brought it up with
All right.
Julie, it was great, okay, did too.
Because we're not in a great position financially, we're not probably in a great position to anticipate funding coming from, the government anymore.
When there's a grant, I mean, there is a grant, cultural facilities grant through the Arts Council that you could apply for through the end of the May, I believe it is, that would give you $30,000.
But all right, so that's fine, but the point is that, they're talking about 300,000 for planning,
For the,
but we're not really interested in that, and
and that was probably more, that was the project that they were applied for. And see, the thing, perhaps there will be another facilities grant for libraries in Vermont. But that will not open up for at least another year. And then the spending is done for several years. So when we're talking about accessibility, I don't really think we can wait 5 years.
Grant wise, I think that's an issue that we'll have to just further conversations. But accessibility and safety wise is something we need to address now before next winter. And I think that that's something that needs to be presented to the town. And we need to get the town to agree they're gonna shovel the walk.
Yeah, but the thing is, we can't. It all depends on when that thing falls
Well,
down.
no, that's not our problem. That's
I
not.
guess I don't understand why you're resistant to it, Gail, because I mean, what I'm hearing is there's a plan. You're not satisfied with the plan. So one, do we need to get a new plan or do we need to revise the plan that we have? Then Bill's point is we can't wait to see what the grant cycle is. We need to sort of move forward with how are we gonna
Yeah.
get the accessibility?
Safety.
And the safety. And so if part of the issue is making sure the walk is kept cleared, then that's something the town has to take responsibility for, because it's gonna be a heck of a lot cheaper to plow that and shovel it than it is to have a lawsuit.
But I'm just
But then
saying,
if we need further accessibility,
yeah,
then that's something
Yeah,
we
but
need to work at.
wait. I believe the town would say they aren't shoveling that walkway.
No, we need to tell them why they're not. So
Exactly.
that doesn't make any
Then
difference.
you take a picture of it.
I have a picture of it.
Then
I-
then take a picture of it and you send it to Julie that day.
All right, stop. We're not satisfying the need to have good conversation.
Don't think it's enough to just shovel it, because it falls multiple times, like when I was out there shoveling wait.
That's
no,
great.
Wait. And it fell on me.
I
So
hear you.
So it needs to have a rough or something. It's not enough. Shoveling does not really just solve the problem.
Okay,
Can
Because
I
it
just say
falls.
something?
But the town's gonna have to
Overnight.
solve the problem.
right.
It's a
Can I just
safety
say
issue.
something that's an easy fix if the town is willing?
Yes,
There's roof guards that can be put on slate roofs that would hold back the snow and it would gradually melt and it wouldn't hit the ramp. It's like
Yeah, I don't know why
stainless,
they haven't.
excuse me?
go ahead, Lynn.
I'm just saying there's stainless steel bars that are put onto a roof to hold back the snow in a certain area so it doesn't fall like Gail is saying and becomes a pile of cement. Because I tried to move that pile one day and I couldn't make a dent in it.
Yeah,
And
I don't think we should be doing that. And I don't think Gail should be trying to move the snow
No.
either.
But
there
what I'm
is-
saying is if we went to the town and we said, look, there is this type of device that can hold the snow back from hitting the ramp, not hold the whole snow load back, just in that area, that might not be such an expensive thing to do.
We should try it. I'm surprised the town hasn't done that yet.
But importantly, we need to, and I'm happy to participate, sit down with the town manager and say, we have a safety issue that must be addressed. And I don't care about grants or long-term
Right.
plans. We have a safety issue. And we can suggest a couple of remedies, but whatever it is, we need to have it fixed and ready for next winter.
No, then we talked before about working on the MOU, because there is a document that says who's responsible. And those walkways are not the town's responsibility. The document says there are responsibilities, but I do know that Steve, the facility person, does come by in the morning and checks them. And we pay a service to do that.
To
And
whom do we pay the service? The town or a
No.
provider?
provider, it's Blackstone or something like that. And this year it's probably about $800 is what we paid. But there, many times I've spent days out, hours.
And
out.
maybe we ought to start with Blackstone. I mean, I know Blackstone,
Yeah.
they're good people.
Yeah, they are good, they do,
Yeah.
but I mean, he can't be here all day.
No, but he needs to be aware of the
Yes.
issue, and maybe he can say, we will come on a Saturday or Sunday, and we'll take the snow off the roof.
Oh, well, see, nobody's asked about that, we could have people take the snow off.
But that's,
No, we don't.
my point is, let's bring since we have a provider. And we're paying for it,
Mhm.
let's bring them in and let them tell us what they think their solution is.
Mhm.
And if you're saying that the MOU says it's our
Yeah,
obligation,
currently it does.
well, I can't disagree with it. But then let's use our people to solve it.
And I think, Lynn's idea about the railing or.
The roof guards,
Yeah,
snow guards,
sounds
yeah.
like, if that sounds like that, we should try it.
Well, let's let Blackstone
For
chime
the
in on
town,
what they think.
Steve would be
So,
the one.
so
who-
maybe the thing to
that.
do is let's get Jim Cole out to take a look at this and tell us what he can do to address the problems so that it's not gonna occur in the future. And two, what is the problem? How can we fix it temporarily? So we'll,
So who's Jim Coles at Blackstone?
that's what's, anyway, go ahead.
So it sounds like there are two issues. One is the issue of the safety and the snow removal and making sure that people have safe access in and out. The other issue that I'm still a little bit confused about is, is our handicap accessibility. So setting aside the moment of the problems with the snow and the ice, do we still need to solve a problem vis-a-vis accessibility?
Not really. I mean, we have multiple accessibility studies. That ramp needs to have, partly because of all the snow and the ice and freezing, needs to have some grinding out of it to be accessible, but it's okay. The only, really besides that kind of regular maintenance grinding out, it's gonna happen all the time with freezing. But the only issue they went to have it in the back for was for the snow falling onto that was how the town and previous library directors thought to solve the problem of snow falling.
And that's not gonna happen. That's not presently.
Yeah, that's not an option.
Not near future.
But the big deal is to solve something short term
Mm,
for by next winter.
Right.
So maybe the thing to do is let's set up a meeting with Jim Cole once we get through this
mhm.
morass of winter to spring. And then let's let Jim tell us what he thinks his solution is. And maybe we ought to bring in Steve
I think
as
so.
part of that, because he
Mhm.
needs to know what Jim's thinking. I think I'd like to have you share the MOU with us,
Mhm.
because I don't think I've ever seen the MOU.
Yeah, well, it told me that, it's a document that says, and I'm calling it that, it doesn't have.
Yeah.
Such, library responsibilities, town,
Well, let's take a look at that. So let us look at it just so
Yeah.
we have a better understanding
yeah,
of what we are confronting, what
Yeah.
we face.
yeah.
Question, if the town owns the building,
Hmm.
we own the library, right? We own the body of the library, but they own the building. Then why are they not responsible for
Well,
the
let's
maintenance
look
of
at
the
MOU.
snow?
I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, I guess that would be something
It's a
if,
good
if it,
question.
is like, then it seems to me the town ought to be responsible for, we shouldn't be paying a private contractor if the town has snow removal.
Although,
So just future thought for an MOU, depending on what it says.
although just so you know, like did a lot of snow this year. And there were days when blacksmith came and I came and we shoveled. But the sidewalks were not shoveled for several days later. So I think that might be one, who knows why they came
Yeah,
up.
doesn't, yeah,
But-
whatever, it
but I
happened.
mean, so now I asked Blackstone to shovel little pathways from the road to cross the sidewalk so people could get to the paths that they were shoveling.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's fine. I mean, I think, but let's get our ducks in a row. Let's get Jim and Steve and one or two of us, whoever wants to meet with you and them. Well, let's sit down and discuss the problem and potential
Mhm.
solutions. And then also, let's just have the MOU out so we can see
Mhm.
what agreement there may be.
Mhm.
And we can talk further about that.
I also want to just make it really clear that from an employer perspective, it's not okay for you to be shoveling the driveway or the
Agreed.
sidewalk. It's really not
That's what I was
okay.
thinking.
Because if you get hurt, that's going to be a huge liability for the library board. So I don't care if there's snow. Can I just say this? As your employer, as we are the employer, my recommendation to this board is that we make it clear to staff, you cannot do things like that. You need to call somebody else to come and do that.
Aren't you also, isn't it even worse to have, public get hurt out there?
Well, what we do is
That's
we'll
a
block it
different
off.
issue. We block it off. That's a
Yeah.
different issue.
Yeah, yeah.
It's a different issue. We don't employ the public. Yeah, and the town would be, likely there would be liability
Yeah,
in
we
behalf
can-
of somebody got hurt. But the point is as your employer, nobody who works for the library or who, like any of us as board members, should be shoveling the sidewalks
Well, what else
or
should
the
we do?
entryway. You should call, if you need to call Blackstone, you
No,
call
I don't
them.
mean that. I don't mean that. I mean, I meant what else should we be doing, not be doing like that?
Well, I don't think.
You
we
should
do
have a
that.
job
Yeah,
description.
that stuff. Like the point of,
Should be doing that, but be lots of other stuff.
perhaps, but that's not the point. The point
Yeah.
is, we know that shoveling snow is a health hazard and there's.
It's not
no
your
reason-
job.
And particularly when we're talking about providers.
Well, I mean, I'm sure in the past it was expected. I mean,
Well, this board,
This
my,
is no longer the
this
past.
is no longer the past.
that's why.
Okay.
Do you
But
have a
I'm happy
copy of your job
for it.
description, Gail?
Oh, we're not going there.
It probably doesn't say responsible for shoveling.
Doesn't say shoveling.
I think there are a lot of good points in this discussion. One is what Marilyn just said about Gail and other library people manually shoveling snow and
We'll
ice.
do it.
Two, let's bring Jim Cole, Steve, and a couple library board people to sit down and talk about what we gotta do to get it done for next
Yeah.
winter. And three, I don't remember the third. one.
MOU, let's get a
Yes,
copy of the
yeah.
MOU.
Thing that we could, I think would be useful on that, to talk about with the town. It would be good to know what their plans are. I mean, I know they can't tell us, but when they plan to shovel the driveway or the sidewalk, because if they're not gonna be shoveled, we shouldn't be open.
Well, then we also, that would be something Steve can tell us.
Yeah,
So
I
that's,
mean, because I did call him at one time and ask him, and he said,
well, then let's bring him in
you
and
know,
tell him we
it's-
need to know that.
you know, like you were the last, the sidewalks are the last thing. They're not gonna do that until they have all the roads done. And then they're gonna do the sidewalk. So he couldn't give me a sense of when it was gonna happen.
We also know that the town clears sidewalks for school children. So, but again, we're getting deep
Yeah,
into the area
okay.
than we need to.
Well, that's something to talk about,
Yeah.
but, because if we're not gonna shovel the snow, we should close more often.
Then let's talk about that when we reach those meetings with Steve and company.
Then I
What-
think that's all I need to talk about unless you have any questions.
I do about the IMLS
Oh,
cuts.
yeah, that's great. I should talk about that. I have,
That seems important.
it is very important, and I got an email today from,
Can I stop you for a minute?
yes,
Is everybody receiving emails from the Vermont Department of Libraries?
No.
More or less.
I mean, because they come out 2 or 3 times a week, maybe, yeah. I mean, I am, Jesse is,
I thought I had signed
Yeah,
up for, but I
I
don't
signed
think
up for
I
the
did.
list that Jesse showed me, so.
Yeah, and I did too, and I'll double check, but I'm
Yeah.
not getting any.
Now and then mine goes to spam for some reason.
Really?
well, there's lots of different listservs and things like that.
but this is the one that we get that is for the Vermont Department of Libraries.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's what I mean, there's lots of different for individual listservs from the Vermont Department of Library.
But in any event, let's talk about what your,
I closed the meeting. I think, maybe I didn't. But I see Lynn still there. I was trying to get.
Lynn, are you still on?
Yes.
Okay, we're having, okay. I
But
just
you
wanna
mean
make
there was
sure-
a chance for me to escape?
We lost you on the Zoom screen and I wanted to make sure
Yeah,
we
I'm on
heard,
that-
still had
I'm on
you.
that one, Bill. Library trustee friend. I think it's
I don't know.
trustees and
Louis
friends
Talbot
of
is
the
somebody we
library.
get a lot of from her, but
Yeah,
very often we get it from the state library. And
Okay, I'm not on that one. I get this
okay,
from,
so I want
she's
to.
Vermont Land.
Oh, it's not there, it's gonna be on my email.
But whoever the state librarian is, that's what I get on a frequent basis.
Yeah, well, there was an email that went out today.
She's from the Vermont Department of Libraries, Communications and Administration, Administrative
Really?
Coordinator.
Mhm.
Yeah, okay.
That's what she is.
And you may be getting what I get,
Would be fine that email it to you.
but the state library did have a comment on the funds cut.
Yeah, there was one that came today. Did you get one today?
I think so, yes.
Let
But
me
I
look.
see.
I did get one today. Didn't get a chance to read
But
it.
in any event, what do you know about funds cutting?
Well, I think my sense is, I mean, this happened, 4 years ago, when there was threat of cutting. Earlier on, there was, that threat was like they were gonna take them out of the budget. But there was a campaigns and things, and it went back in the budget, so that what they got. We got an email from the state librarian today. You know, with quote they got from the IML, staff that says, Congress has passed a full year continuing resolution through September 30th, 2025, and we are awaiting review of the funding levels by program from the Office of Management and Budget. After we receive our final review, our plan is to issue awards to all states. As we finalize the full year allotment schedule, and our system will reach out to you. So basically, they are going on as if everything.
Status quo,
Yeah,
at least
exactly.
through
Because
September,
just 2 weeks ago or something, they were just.
Friday, they funded it Friday, they passed the CR on Friday.
So the message is, there's nothing to say until
Well,
there's something to say.
You could individually, there's lots of, everylibrary.org, which is the library advocacy. You can sign up for those emails, and you'll get a lot of email. They have letters, or you could write letters, you could submit things, you could let your support be known that you think that's important, because it is important, especially to us. I mean, like what they'll say, it's especially important to rural library because of interlibrary law, for one thing. And
But at least but what I'm hearing you say is that right now, we're maintaining the status quo in terms of federal funding. And that remains,
Yeah.
that could be
Yeah,
changed
yeah.
depending on what OMB says
Yeah.
to
and
the various grant.
it sounds like, I
Sources.
mean, which I did not know, when the state libraries get their funding, because most of our IMLS support comes through the state library, sounds like they get their funding like in April. So, I just was wondering how soon they were not funded.
To boil it down, my
Mhm.
basic question is, how badly is it going to affect our budget? I'm not really concerned about how or why it happened, or.
Yeah.
We get stuff. I had just applied for a 70,000 multi-year grant through IMLS with the Historical Society. So like, there's that.
Okay, so
But
that's
that
something we may or may not get.
Doesn't affect anything we're doing now, because that would all be neat stuff. But our state library uses IMLS funds for primarily its summer reading support. So, we might not, that consultant might be limited. We mainly get a $300 grant every year. That's not that much towards summer reading through that. And then support for large print books. We have our own collection, but we get a rotating collection of large print books. The biggest thing though, it's interlibrary loan. And the courier, and we get that interlibrary loan grant, courier grant.
On a yearly basis, yeah.
But we wouldn't get that. But also, we wouldn't have the whole infrastructure, the computer program that tells us who has what. That's even bigger. If we didn't have the courier grant, we borrow about 30 books a month or so from other libraries. We send out maybe about 40 books. We would be having to pay to mail $4.40 a minimum for every book that, if we did it.
At the moment, we have
Fine.
lost it. So we really, I think,
Want to know what we would lose.
but I think that's, until we've lost it,
Yeah,
I don't think we can anticipate
Well,
the
right.
loss because, one, we don't know.
yeah, although if you wanted, if you felt compelled to write a letter, you might want to know how this would affect you.
If you would like to draft a
Okay,
letter for us to consider, I say with all respect,
okay,
for each of us to send individually, it might be worth.
okay, good.
I was just gonna note the time, Chair Dakin, that it's 7:20. And so we usually go till 8, is that right? An hour and a half, so I just wanted to do a
Yeah.
time check. But we've got 40 minutes, okay.
So are any?
We have other-
questions about the
yeah.
report?
All in
What's going on
favor?
with your printer?
Oh, we're gonna
Okay,
talk
We're
about
gonna
that.
talk about that's on the
That's the
agenda.
next item on the, almost next item. That's number 10 on the agenda. So we will talk about that. So all in favor of accepting the director's report, indicate by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. We have, Gail accepted it. Family Place Libraries Training Institute.
Okay, so I will send you a link to a video that you guys can watch on your own. But here is, I just want to make sure you guys know, are kind of aware of what it, what kind of changes might come about in service or, because now we are part of the Family Place Library.
And we're part of it because of a grant.
We paid for training because of a grant, right?
But if it weren't for the grant, might we not be members of this?
We would not be because we could not have afforded it.
Yes, okay.
So, and I'm sure this was, a $20,000 grant, and the biggest portion of it was the training, but there's about $5,000 for, toys and equipment, things like that, and, staff, time too. So, Family Place Library, libraries that are Family Place libraries have made a commitment to prioritize, or not actually prioritize, but to really to look at the needs of young kids and families, and or to say, we recognize how important it is. Things you probably we already have done. This is a bit more intentional, and it involves the program element. There's a program element that's required. That's a 5-week. Originally, it was called a parent-child workshop for young kids and caregivers. Individual libraries call it all different things. It looks a little bit like a playgroup, but it's more intentional because there's certain types of toys and learning experience that should be there in some way, but how much is dependent on the space. But so like there would be dramatic play, musical play, art exploration, manipulatives, cars and vehicles, and gross motor. I mean, art space would have much gross motor, but you could have something. And but the biggest difference besides those intentional elements is each of the 5 weeks, there's local expert that comes and chats informally with the parents and caregivers that are there, and the 5 types of subject matter that the expert, we have 5 experts. One of the experts is the librarian, and that's on literacy. But child development, speech and language, food and nutrition, and movement and music. So like, each one of those 5 times there'd be somebody here that could answer and talk, and people could say, well, like, my child hasn't spoken yet. Should I be worried about that? And they could put people in touch with other care providers that they need, or you could pick people's minds and needs. And we already have books, toys, music, all those things. But I think that a parenting collection, we have a parenting collection, but I think, and it's not just books when they're talking about pamphlets as well, or websites or things, but the idea to have some of those materials available in the youth department, and they're especially the areas that fit those, literacy, child development, those 5 themes. And, then the other big thing is that we want to have a place where families can go and play and learn together in the library all the time that it's open. So this would probably be one of the biggest things, because it would involve having some toys, it doesn't have to be many, but some toys up in the youth department, so that it's really part of the library instead of down here. I mean, this would be still down here for programs, these things, but all ages use the space. And about a third of the time that the library's open, it's being used by either outside groups or the library. So anybody who came during those times can access it. So that's
So have we established the program series for 5 weeks?
I mean, we just went to the training. We're gonna we're starting to get ready for that. It probably won't be till September that we establish that. I mean, we offer it.
So would we do this on an annual basis?
Yes.
1 5-week program, 2 5-week programs every year?
Yeah.
And you and Carrie both went to this
Mhm.
seminar. Will the 5-week program, as it might continue, require additional funding?
Well, how much funding on that 5-week program? The only funding, well, I mean, there might be some toys that need to be replaced. I mean, Carrie does that now, it's by.
We have to pay a subscription.
No, we don't have to pay that, but the only other kind of expense that could be, is those, in some communities, to get the child expert to come to the library, you have to pay a little bit. Now, I think in our community, most of the child experts will come from places that are coming on their work time, and they will need extra funds, or they might need a donation. Like right now, some groups want like a $50 donation or something like that. Like the extension department when they come, but the one area that oftentimes needs funding to have the expert is the music and movement. But if possible, I'm just gonna try to find someone who can do it for free.
So Jesse, would you enroll your child in this program?
If it was the right time of the day.
I think it looks like a really great, exciting program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, what makes it, I mean, it's just like the intentionality of it, because like we all went, we had 3 days of training of things. And the connections that we could make with agencies is another really good benefit.
What kind of agencies?
Agencies that serve young kids, the early intervention.
Parent Child Center,
Yeah,
mental health agencies, maybe.
yeah,
Music together.
and the connections that we can help facilitate with the families in those agencies. That's what the benefit of the whole thing is.
Good. Now, how many other libraries in our region are members of the Family Place Library?
We are the first Vermont library.
Really?
Excellent. That's exciting.
There's several in New Hampshire and Maine. But we are the first in Vermont.
Great.
So this is a new program nationwide?
Oh, it's been going since the late 70s.
Yeah,
maybe,
it's the 70s in here, yeah.
Yeah, but
Why is it taking so long to get up here?
because of the state library, not because the state library, like Texas, Ohio, California, state libraries, they can use their IML with less money, which is doled out by population, to really push this and pay for a lot of libraries to participate. Because there's a lot in Texas, Ohio, and California.
It also depends where the movement started from, how long it takes to get up here.
Yeah,
Like, just talking generally, trends that happen in New York City take about 5 years to move into this
Yeah.
area.
Yeah, well, see, the reason that so many in New Hampshire and Maine is, and I think it had a lot to do with funding. There was somebody, Sandy River, the Sandy River Foundation, I don't know exactly what it is, started funding it in Maine for libraries, and then he moved over to New Hampshire. And I tried to get them to move over to Vermont, they might have done it, but then this other grant came up that we can use.
So is there
Can
anything that
we
we as a
use-
board need to do?
Can
Go
we
ahead, Lynn.
can we use this, that we're the first in the state, to our advantage as far as sending out some kind of messaging?
Sure,
It's a
You
good
know?
idea.
yeah, yeah.
What do we need to do as a board? Just to thank you and wish you well.
Yeah, right now, probably nothing, just be aware.
Yeah.
Later on, when we get closer to doing things and, you know. That's one of our cards.
We need the
I should-
publicity.
Yeah, we have.
Oh, mine's not in my pocket, so it's not me.
I don't think my car makes that sound,
I
but
don't think mine does either.
Either over there.
Bill, and
How do I turn off?
The red one.
Driving your old rig today.
One of the things
You did it.
he has to.
It's the red button up
He worked
there.
with
That's the alarm.
At, Center Reach with,
Right.
for space planning, but. We're yet, you know, Carrie's thinking about how to handle a few more, a few toys. I mean, we don't need all of those 5 types of toys to use in Martin, but just a few. And, so she's trying to figure out where to put those. I know from looking at really old minutes, long time ago. Previous librarians wanted to get rid of that sink in the youth department.
That's sick.
There's a sink,
Oh, the
and that
sink.
would give,
Right by where the fish are.
Yeah.
if we did manage to get rid of that, then she would have a lot more room to put a little, because I mean, I think one thing that she would really like is a toy kitchen area.
Mhm.
And that's something.
Like a play kitchen there?
Like, and the
Mhm.
reason that it's so good, especially for libraries, is because of all the language play. The language that goes on in that kitchen area is really good.
Good. Anything else?
Behind hot, but sorry, I've worked professional kitchens. Some of that is not for children's areas.
well,
Yeah,
no,
yeah.
don't worry,
All
I'm
right,
training
so-
Nate out on that already.
Unless there's anything further in Family Place Libraries, we're gonna move on to fundraising.
Okay, so I talked to Dan at Red House Press, who did our printing for the timber appeal. And I got some numbers for reprints from him for envelopes and, well, envelopes, actually, that's it. I asked him what the price would be for a postcard, every door direct mailer. He has not gotten that number for me yet, so I don't have an answer for that, which is a bummer. However, the cost of resupplying number 10s and the remittance envelopes is gonna be relatively low. Like, I think we could start off with like 2,000 number 10s and 1,000 remits would be really high, and that would still come in like under $500. And that would put us well suited to either handle one or potentially both appeals, mostly in-house. Something that Donna and I discussed last meeting was whether it would be possible to move away from doing handwritten tiny thank you cards and onto fully printed letters on like 8x8.5 by 11 that go into the regular envelopes, which is what a lot of like just regular nonprofits do. Kindfold absolutely has that capability, and it would save us money and Donna's poor hands writing of like huge things. It would also serve as a tax receipt that's more formal because it would
Mhm.
have like the letter, the little copy at the bottom. It's like your donation of $500 on this date, which is helpful for people. So I think that we should do that
Mhm.
personally. I am happy to draft a thank you letter and share it with the fundraising committee for edit
Mhm.
because it's pretty straightforward. You know, we're so grateful. This
Yeah,
is what you
yeah.
help us do.
Yeah.
And then Donna and I can chat through how to use that functionality in Kindful so that she is able to do that at home rather than us like resupply the thank you card envelopes and the thank you cards. So that's like a cost saving measure that I don't think will impact stewardship very much, just because you still put a little handwritten note, you know, so. That's good news. I think what we need to figure out, which is hard to do without information about the cost of a postcard mailer, is kind of figure out our approach to our June letter. Whether we want to try to spend a lot of money on the June letter, getting everything out to someone that's a little more informational about services we offer, with an ask, or if we're comfortable trying again, like a more, targeted letter that maybe speaks to previous donors about how their donations impact summer funding and programming and summer reading and like all the fun stuff that people think about when they read a book that they borrowed on the beach somewhere.
Mhm.
I think personally, I think that it makes more sense to spend more money in the winter. Most nonprofits make about 80% of their fundraising budget on winter appeals. And we, as a library, historically have made more money in winter appeals. So I think that, Gail, you've definitely been interested in a more like informational push. I think they're two different things. And if we're spending our fundraising budget, I mean, okay, that's not true. Fundraising is awareness and stewardship and speaking to people outside of just asking for money, of course. But our fundraising budget is very low. And I don't know that we have the funds to effectively send out a piece of stewardship that is focused on our programmatic content and availability, and also do a June letter, and also do a December ask that's like very,
Oh, and I
No.
never meant a third.
oh no, I know you didn't mean a third,
Okay.
but I'm saying nailing both at once is hard to do. And I just don't know if it's possible for us.
We are still a growing library and we
Yeah.
are moving forward as we continue to put all the pieces together. And I think the educational part continues to be really important
Yeah,
for us as we grow our capacity of operating and raising money as well. And further, we have a changing demographic in our community. So I think it's really important
Yeah.
to do as much of an informational fundraising letter about who we are, what our services are. I think that's, as we did once last year. I think we should continue. I recommend that we consider doing that kind of a fundraiser again. We have money in the two-film account
that's true.
and but I think it would be useful to continue to tout our capabilities and our services. Particularly as more people are learning who we are and what we're doing. But
Yeah.
that's just-
So just to add on to what you're saying, Bill. We do need to find a way to make ourselves more visible in the community.
Mhm.
Because come budget time at town hall, nobody ever questions. Park and rec. Budget.
We're happy that they don't.
Well, what I'm saying is part of them not questioning it is because of the visibility it has to the town.
Yeah.
But we as the library, because we don't have that level of visibility and interactivity with most of the town,
Mm.
we're not seen as the same kind of service, even though we are.
But we're not a department. I think that's really, like you talked about that before. I think the people that question are the select men.
Select
Not the
board,
town.
select board,
The
not
select
men,
board-
select
select
Yeah,
board,
board
sorry.
members.
select board members,
yes.
gender neutral.
Yeah, but they are the ones who question it. Usually not the
Well,
town,
he does. They
What?
don't. They generally don't. It's he who does.
but.
But which we relish
but-
the
and I
joy
think
of
the
conversation.
reason, the real reason, the basic reason is because we're not a department. Because they get reports all along and they know, like you said, It is partly the,
We're just a different animal.
Yeah,
But I mean, I think your point is well taken, is that the Parks and Rec, which is a wonderful program, has a different visibility within the community. And perhaps different people and some of the same people use the library, but there is value, I think, in continuing to get our message and our word out. I agree with you. I think we should do another June appeal. I think it should be informative, and I like your idea of it focusing on your letter. Your support helps us with summer programming. Look what's on our horizon, right? And it could even be introducing this children's program, sort of to your point of some of the different programming that's going on. So it's informational at the same time that it's an appeal.
Yeah.
Unless you tell me as the fundraising expert that that's not a good idea.
Oh, no, hardly an expert. I think it's a great idea.
Yeah, but I wonder, like, I would like to know, maybe we could save this for the fundraising committee getting together, but I would like to see the numbers again, like, how much did we bring in from the June appeal versus our December appeal? Right, and how much did we spend? Because I think as we go forward, sort of to your point, Bill, of as we grow, it's really good for us to be able to go back and say, oh, look, we got this much more, a greater percentage, or this was effective, this wasn't. Otherwise, we're just kind of continuing to shoot in the dark. But it's helpful, I think, if we continue to have those measures and we have them at our grasp.
yeah.
I know that, like, if I could just say something about, like, in New York, where I'm from on Long Island, they would put a banner across the road from the public library saying, that it was funding month, like fundraising month, and or something that exciting that was happening. I don't know if the town or the state or whoever is in charge of putting a banner across the road would let us do that. But that's something that, like, anybody picking up elementary school children would see, hanging across the road. People visiting might see it, and, like,
Story about
fundraising
it.
for our historic rural library,
There's a story about a banner across the road that I'm not gonna tell you right now. But the bottom line is they won't let us do that, and we wouldn't want to do that based on that story. It's a-
Okay, it's not good.
Just
Another day.
the thing, when I went, a letter in that summer, to me, I'm not an expert on this, and you might tell me I'm totally wrong, but it seems like if we put in a letter in the summer about how your money is gonna help that summer, it's not really gonna help this summer because
It's not very well.
it won't help this summer because the money that we get in that, we won't really get
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah, but you can say this is how your money, this helps support summer programming, for
Yeah.
example.
Yeah,
Like what we're doing this year that maybe is different from last year or continues
Yeah.
programming. It
Yeah,
really just
right.
depends on how you word it.
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, I
yeah.
think so. So let's have a fundraising committee
Okay.
meeting.
One thing
I know, right?
that might be a little bit like what Linda was talking about. There is a day, a library giving day that's coming up pretty soon. And last year I did stuff with it and we got a few donations. I think, should I do that again? I want to make sure.
Sure, if you
Yeah.
can. What if we were to put something like that on the Town of Chester webpage?
Or get one of those flat, those
Mhm.
signs they put when you come into town,
Yeah.
slow down, there are kids playing in the streets or whatever it is.
Yeah,
We could get one of those in front of the library, so coming and going,
Yeah,
you'd have this flashing message.
maybe, it depends on what your sign ordinance is, but we could look at
Well, I
that.
understand that, but my point is that there's some flashy things we can do.
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Including hanging banners across the street that
Yeah.
sag and catch the top of trucks, but
Marilyn, what did you say?
The Town of Chester has a Facebook page and I think we should put,
Active on that.
yeah, we should put it on there.
Our page is pretty active too.
Yeah.
But both, I mean, if you're
Yeah.
to get a different audience.
Ad, I mean, I do ads all the time. and
It
the
goes
ads
to the
are-
point too, Gail, that you
Yeah.
just said about the
Yeah.
select board being aware. I mean, people from the
Yeah.
town look
Yeah.
at that and they're like, oh, look, the library's,
Yeah.
look at they're doing their
Yeah.
fundraising. We told them
Yeah.
to go fundraise.
They never put like on the community ones, because I've done that, I pulled that off. That's the actual
Chester
money.
wants
But
Cynthia
you've
Perry.
got
Yeah, but
this-
you won't-
You've got
That's
this
a different one.
opportunity to
well,
be,
either of the Chester, Vermont ones.
you've
Yeah.
got this
So-
opportunity to use that being first in Vermont with this
Yeah.
program. So you might as
Yeah.
well capitalize on it.
Yeah,
All right, so maybe we ought to have a fundraising committee meeting.
Okay.
I will reach out to the fundraising committee.
Okay.
To, meet
After
and
the
talk through
first of
options so that
April.
we can
After-
present our best ideas in the April meeting, hopefully.
Yeah.
It is April meeting. Oh God, it's so soon.
Okay, then we need
Yeah,
to
it
meet,
really is because we, yeah, it is.
yeah,
April first is
2 weeks, a
Tuesday.
week from Tuesday,
So April eighth is
Already?
the first meeting in
a
April.
week from Tuesday.
Well, I'll email you
I
guys
know.
tomorrow to find
Oh,
some time to meet soon.
2 weeks from today.
The meeting, 2 weeks? No.
Oh,
April
I'm
1st.
just thinking today is not Tuesday. You're right, 2 weeks from today, Matt, you're right.
A week from Tuesday was like, but today's Tuesday.
So what are we leading up to with this roundtable conversation? Other than the fact that we want to have a subcommittee meeting.
Yeah, I think that we're going to
That's-
have a subcommittee meeting and present our plan for
Yeah.
the June approach and the April meeting.
So maybe the three of us need to come up with a date, and Jesse, why don't you propose it, and Marilyn, you say yes, and I'll.
So means,
to-
Okay,
Right.
sounds good.
right now, in this moment.
What do you want to?
Yes, our meeting's April.
Yes, yeah,
Uh,
5 minutes ago.
I can't do it this weekend. I could do it on the 29th or the 30th. That's Saturday or Sunday, March 29th or 30th, like in the afternoonish. Either of those days would be evening.
Well, could we do it the next weekend by any chance? April
Um,
5th, 4th, 5th, so it would be close to our next meeting, but I'm actually gonna head to the Cape on Friday and I probably won't be back until that
I'm
Sunday.
wide open on the 5th and the 6th.
Does that work for
With the
you?
caveat that afternoon is still best.
What day?
That's fine.
Pick it up. Tell me.
Saturday and Sunday, April 5th or 6th.
So pick the day and time.
Is there? I'm gonna suggest Sunday because I thought I heard something about something going on April 5th.
All right.
That something's in my head on that Saturday, so let's do Sunday afternoon
Second
if that
floor,
works.
and that's when they come to concert, and I don't know.
Yeah, something,
All right, so let's say Sunday the sixth
yeah,
or 6th.
that's not Easter.
Oh God, I don't know.
Hold on.
Why don't we just pick it and then we'll modify it as we have to.
Okay, let's
No,
make
it's
it,
not, it's not Easter. Can we do 1 PM?
yes,
One
right,
PM on the
yeah.
6th.
Yeah, no, Easter's April 20th this year.
I was late, okay,
All right,
4,
so
6.
so that's
Sunday at
fundraising.
1.
Anything else
Okay.
you want to talk about on fundraising? Thank you
No.
all. New printer, Lynn, you're coming your way. Say with a smile. All right, so we have the proposal from Allstate. And we are going to discuss it, wherever that is. And, I think everybody has a copy of it. We have,
But the same one from before.
it's the same one from before.
Mhm.
So we have a number of options. One is a lease, one is a purchase on a new one is a lease, one is a purchase on a used one. That could both have similar make, there, one has better, second one has better printer speed, higher printer speed. But then the third option is a different one altogether, and I don't know that the third option is.
That doesn't have the 11x17 option.
Yeah,
that we want.
and it wasn't very attractive, so I don't know that that's even one to consider.
So I mentioned last meeting that I have a friend who works in the printer industry. So when I saw him after our last meeting, I showed him the proposals. He said that the better option out of the two, although he tried to talk me out of having the 11x17 capability, was likely the used one.
Really? And what was his rationale?
Because if he basically came down to, depending on the amount of usage you have, you don't really need the capability of the newer one. And as long as all repairs and parts are covered under the lease, that's going to end up being cheaper in the long run.
Okay.
He also told me, hey, if you send it to us, I could probably maybe find you a better deal, but I'm like, bro, no hate to your company, but considering the job you used to have and the complaints you made, I'm not doing it.
So we have a proposal is on option one, option two. Do people, have you seen this?
Yeah, but it's been a
Have you
while.
memorized it?
Just
Oh,
go
yeah,
ahead and
I've
Can
skim it
you
for us.
read it from there?
Yeah, I
I
can,
was
sure.
still
Bill.
trapped. I got it. No, I don't have it. I'm sorry.
Let her get her binoculars out.
So we have proposal, option one, option two. Option two is the used one. And there's a lease purchase or a purchase. I think the lease is what we want to do. Because at the end of the lease, because I did talk to Don Strong, the owner of the company, and he said, yeah, at the end of the lease, we come and pick it up. If you own it, you have to make arrangements for us to come and pick it up.
Dispose of it.
Right.
Yeah, but
Is
he said
there
we would want to
a
dispose
service
of it anyway.
contract? Is there a service
Speak up.
contract with the used one?
Yes. Yes, there is a service contract with the used one.
I forget, Gail had sent us the amount for the service contract at one point. I forget what the amount was.
Real service contract is based on how many copies you
It's
make.
per copy print, yes.
Yeah, so it's hard to really guess.
So if
What
it's
it
not
would be.
working, they won't come out and service it?
Not working.
Yes,
No, no,
they
no, no,
will.
But the fee is based on,
Right.
the cost of the service is based on the number of copies you make every month.
Do we
So
have that
that's-
information? How many copies do we
Well, I
make?
think- No, we don't have that information at all. We don't have that because we could tell you, they would be able to tell us how many copies we make now
What's the per copy cost?
and how much, I don't know that for sure, but I might be able to figure that out. And I can tell you with the one that we have, that we used to lease from them and now we own, the one that's working, we were paying $300 a year on a service contract.
300 a year,
Yes.
less than 30 bucks a month.
And that would essentially the minimum cost. I believe this will be more, because when we were paying $300 a year, we had the other copy machine. And people were which was nobody, I have no idea how many
Okay.
copies we had on that, so
So we're still keeping the one that we own, right?
we are.
So then
will,
you'll
because-
have a backup.
We will have, and we'll have $300 service on that one too,
So it'll be
Is the-
600?
at least. Unless we don't want to have service on it, but I think.
We
you
will
do.
have service, we
You
will have
do,
service.
because the service includes all your supplies, not paper, but it would include all the supplies.
The print and the.
Yeah, so I think. Yeah,
Plus, remember, we're charging, this is a money-making operation.
yes,
So that whatever, I won't say whatever cost we're recovering, the answer is yes, we are recovering it. Because we're charging a per copy, per page charge, and so if we're paying X cents per page service, our per copy charge to the customer is gonna be more than that, so we will be recovering the service charge based on the per copy charge to the customer.
Is the cost for the service contract, is it the same contract for both the new and the used, or okay, so that's the same.
Yes.
So the overall cost, the price then for the new one is a purchase price of $75.89 plus a monthly lease payment of $135.06, which is a total at the end of.
Versus of a monthly lease.
Right. No, the purchase is $75.89.
Or lease it per month.
Oh, I see. Okay, so the cost then to purchase it is $75.89. The cost to lease the new one is $8,103, and the cost to lease the used one is $6,000.
so that's why,
So it's less expensive to do the leased one. Is it have and it's a 60-month period, and there's a service contract. So if it conks out at the end of 20 months, they're gonna come and fix it under the service
Right.
contract. I would agree. I would move I'd move that we
Yeah,
proceed with option 2.
I got the price per page here that Gail had sent out on February 19th, which is 8 cents a page for color for options 1 and 2, which were the new and the used floor
Okay.
models.
Okay.
That's the service fee, the service cost that we pay, that's what we pay. 8 cents for copy.
yeah, they call us,
Yeah, so, but we're charging how much? 50 cents?
no, right now we're charging 10 cents for black,
For color.
right, for color. Well, we don't have a color one, we used to charge 25 cents, but we don't have color now, so we should adjust the price. We
Yes.
already talked about adjusting.
Yeah, 25 cents per color, 10 cents per black and white is a good price.
That's
It's
very
a
cheap.
good price,
Yeah.
very good. We could make it higher and still be good, but we could, you know.
All right, so we have a motion on the floor to go with the lease option
Mm-hmm.
of the used one, bless you. Is there a second to the motion? Was that a second?
Second.
Please. See, seconded by Matt. Any further discussion on the motion to lease the printer that's used under option 2? There's no further discussion. All in favor of the motion to lease the printer under option 2? Say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay? If you can let them know.
I will.
All right, that's great.
Excellent.
Any further conversation on the new printer? There being none, we move on to old business. Is there any old business that needs to be brought to the table at this time?
Not that I'm aware of.
Only that the policy committee needs to meet.
Now, we thought under old business, we would, just let Gail confirm in about 3 sentences that she has drafted policy and it's sent onto the policy committee. Their draft for the review by the policy.
Right. You gotta get that lap on in.
I don't recall.
I did see it. I haven't looked at it.
Okay.
Okay, I'll double check, but I don't recall seeing it.
2 or 3 weeks ago. What's about the holiday policy?
Would you resend them, please? Thank you. All right, so
I
that's,
did see that.
Yeah,
you wanted to resend them?
Please, it'd be easier for me to find them.
yeah,
All right,
Yeah.
and so that's policies and the policy committee will take it up and
yeah.
address it.
Yeah.
And when they're ready to have it presented at the meeting, then they will let us know and we'll put it in the agenda.
Yeah.
Any other old business?
Might have one. I think that your account is open is, remember last year we got $1,000 for donation for either the sign or for carpeting.
Yeah,
Okay, so I haven't done anything with that yet. I don't know whether you noticed that there was a little bit of new carpeting that I got on a grant in the entryway.
Mm.
And that carpet person, that knockout carpet, had some leftover carpet that he could give us for labor and some other of that brown carpet to do more of the entranceway and also the plates that had the graphic novels, the juvenile graphic novels. But if we did all of that, it cost like $1,250. Do you think I should do that?
is that a good price?
I think so. He's gonna give us a bunch of free carpet that's really expensive,
Yeah.
that, but so when we
And
pay,
we got a great, we're talking $200 that wasn't budgeted for.
yeah, that's the problem. I mean, so the carpet in the computer room, the graphic novel computer room will be donated, and we'll pay for the labor, which is about $500. But to make it look nice, we all want to take that brown carpet that's in the entryway and kind of move it in there. And that, we have to pay for that carpet. And he said with labor and carpet, that'd be $750.
So we
So,
have 1,250 and we have 750.
well, $1,250 was the total amount for the 2 areas. And we have $1,000 that was donated with this in mind. So that we are essentially $250 of that.
So what's the bottom line? How do we, if we apply the $1,000, what does the library have to pay?
$250.
$250.
I move we spend $250 on carpet.
I mean, that carpet is
Second.
very old.
Moved and seconded, further discussion?
Great, thank you.
There being no further discussion, all in favor of the motion, say aye.
I,
Opposed, nay? Thank you all. Okay,
Thank you. Well, tell him.
Wow,
All
two
right,
things accomplished tonight.
I think we got more.
it's time to end.
any new business? There being none, then we will adjourn.
Sounds great. Perfect.
All right, I move to adjourn.
So the
Second.
committee, excuse me, moved and seconded, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.